Good morning, Americas. Good afternoon, Europe. My name is Sophie Mathieu, and I'm leading the partnership for the Propel by MIPIM events. You may know this week, that's a special week because that's the last week for our daily talk program. So no worries. We will be back with new formats within the next coming months, and most importantly, save the date for the Propel by MIPIM in Paris in September 14 and 15. But in the meantime, and today, we have three special guests. So in Canada and in Europe. So I'm pleased to welcome the three of them to present a very nice and inventive projects. So first guest is Jacques Gauthier, who is VP Development from Umbrella International. There
we go.
Second guest is Vincent Ballion, who is Architects Project Manager for Belcourt. And the third guest is Jean-Bernard Journeau, who is Structural Engineer from Simone. Hello, everyone. So thank you. The project you will explain to us today is a very nice one in a very specific market, which is in Monaco. And the name of the project is Carmela Tower. So the stage or the mic is yours. Enjoy for 20 minutes. Just before that, I remember our guests and audience that you can already start thinking about your questions and write them into the Q&A section. And our three guests will answer them right after the presentation. So see you later.
Thank you. Thank you. I guess I get the screen here.
Yes.
Okay. Screen, share. And hopefully everybody see the screen. So I'm Jacques from Umbrella today. And thank you, Propel, for giving us the opportunity to present I will call it a fantastic project in Monaco. And to start our discussion, Vincent Ballion, the architect working on the project from Studio Belcourt, will present his work. Vincent.
Thank you, Jacques. Hi, everyone. I've been working for Studio Belcourt for 13 years, and I'm a project director. I'm present you the Carmela project with which is situated at the eastern side of Monaco. We are designing this project with Aegis and Elliott engineering firms, and Gabriel Bureau, architect, is oversees the execution. The project takes the place of an older building, the Villa Carmela. And the site of project is typical of a compact city because neighboring buildings are close. The plot is small, 400 square meters, and the slope is steep. There is a 12-meter drop between two streets. The Carmela Tower is a residential building of 12 floors, only available to permanent residents of the principality. The building contains 25 apartments, 2 or 3 per floor, an open space office of 200 square meter. And the head is crowned by an open air stair. The princely government ordered this project to increase the availability of dwellings, but it's wanted also to create an icon of energy transition in Monaco. As consequence, Carmela Tower project sets very ambitious environmental objectives. It complies with the French green building standards HQE, High Environmental Quality Label, and BDM, Mediterranean Building Label. The project attempts to achieve the highest level of each of these two certifications to reduce carbon emissions, save, store, and produce energy. The energy is produced with photovoltaic solar panels and is stored thanks to the addition hydrogen hub. Geothermal energy is also used to produce the heat and cold for apartments. Wherever possible, the environmental approach favors the biosourced and eco-friendly materials and wood for structure. The widespread use of a wooden structure also seemed relevant in seismic zone. That is why the project was made of two sections. The first is in concrete for infrastructure into the rock, and the base ensures the stability of the building. The upper part of the structure was entirely composed of timber frame, uses glue laminated framework for exoskeleton, cross-laminated panel for inner and core floors, and wood frame walls for building envelope. In order to limit the impact of this construction, all of superstructure parts will be manufactured on off-site by Simonin Wood Solutions. In the last year, a new regulation concerning limitation of noise around constructions in Monaco have caused us to favor with construction firm a new construction method. Once on site, all elements of structure will be assembled with umbrella solutions. Now I will turn it over to Jean-Bernard Journeau from Simonin Wood Solutions.
Thank you, Vincent.
Et voilà. And Jean-Bernard, please tell me when to change the slides so I don't I don't go too fast, please.
Thank you, Vincent. I will explain you now a bit more about the structure. So I am Jean-Bernard Journeau. I am a structural engineer at Simonin in the Integrated Design Office. If we go with the first slide, then you have an overview of the structure. It is a quite tall building, as we call it now, made of timber, and it raises 8 floors on the concrete base. It has been designed with a good selection of wood components, which fit for all the challenges of a modern housing building. And in particular, there are 3 very important fields on which timber is very appropriated. First one is thermal insulation. This is solved by an envelope made of composite panels, made of timber and mineral wood, which will be fixed on the facades. Second field is about sound insulation, because in this kind of housing building, this is a very important topic. And today, this is solved by the use of CLT floors, cross-laminated timber floors, panels, which will be associated with proper floorings and ceiling to have a good comfort. And the third topic is fire protection, with 90 minutes fire resistance for the structure and 120 minutes for the central core. So that comes from the regulation of the country. And such a project proves now that we have all the technical solution in the field of timber construction to build a tall building of this kind. And it is also very interesting to understand that these possibilities gives us the stock of carbon in this kind of construction, and only the structure will stock almost 1,000 tons of CO2 in its structure. If we go now with the second slide, I will present you quickly the structure, and we can see that the primary structure is made of glulam, posts and beams. Simonen is active in the design process and propose the best technology for the connection of the posts and the beams with good technology, which is the RESIX system. It's a system developed in our company for 20 years now, and which got all the certification and the testing in many different conditions: dry and wet, seismic design, and fire exposure. And we will use this technology to make the structure very efficient. In case of Carmela structure, it allows to build very high buildings with extraordinary strong connection and a very rigid behavior of the structure. And this gives a good guarantee to get a structure very stiff. Timber connections with glued-in rods allows also to make very aesthetical joints and to give the joint visible, and that will be done in this case because the primary structure will be kept visible in the apartments, which means that it needs a very high level of quality, and that is also possible because of prefabrication and good working site condition that has been developed in this project. And that is also possible because of the know-how of the company. If we continue with the slides, we now have an overview of the floors, which will be composed of CLT panels, which brings a good guarantee of comfort in the apartment. The 400 cubic meter of timber floor panels will be locally sourced in France and in respect of all environmental purpose of this building. If we continue now with the core of on the next slide, of the core of the building. So this one is composed also with CLT, with almost 200 cubic meter of CLT. And it has been designed with big and long panels to improve the behavior of the structure. The core will host the stairs and elevator shafts. And the CLT panels will be strongly connected to bring stability to the tower. The core is also ensuring the security of the inhabitants, and fire protection will be improved by a strong plaster covering of the CLT. On the next slide, we have a view of the external skeleton of the structure, which is complementary to the core. Timber diagonals member are also integrated in the architectural concept, and by the use of RESIX glued-in rods connection, we will design strong connections with a very little visible impact in the apartments. Finally, on the last slide, this structure is more than 40 meters high above the ground, and it is a very challenging project because of the location on the seaside with high wind velocity and in the seismic area. Wind effects have been simulated by testing a model in a wind tunnel in the preliminary design stage. And seismic design is done with numerical models, including concrete and timber. By the help of advanced finite element softwares, the behavior of the structure is truly analyzed with influence of the connection rigidity, which is very important in timber construction. And this implies a tight relationship of the design team and the company, and all the companies. Timber structures being very dependent on the connection design, collaboration in design is essential to make it right. And Simonin has an integrated engineering office which will lead this structural design for the companies. Prefabrication is also in the heart of our philosophy, and for that we are active in the BIM process by drawing any single part in a 3D model, which will be used by other companies. And the narrow working sites impose a just-in-time organization, and any delivery need to be planned. And this constraint is becoming an advantage when coming to the time of building, because we estimate that we can save 20% of time on the site because of preparation. We have based our site organization with a minimum of waste and with a reduction of the noise and disturbance on site. And now Jacques will explain more about site organization, and in particular with the umbrella system.
Merci, Jean-Bernard. Thank you. So I'm going to present umbrella and what umbrella is. And a lot of the things that Jean-Bernard was mentioning, the tight collaboration with the design team and the architectural team, it's a condition by which umbrella can deliver more value than in the traditional sense. So for this, it's a very good approach, and it fits well with our own philosophy. So what is umbrella? Umbrella is a patented sheltered construction system. And the first thing we build is the final roof, and we don't use tower cranes for the build process. And that has all kind of implication in site nuisance, safety, and in the industrialization of the process itself. So quickly, and there's a bunch of videos available on YouTube if you want to see it. But what umbrella consists of, it's a method and specialized equipment. And the method, it's a very simplified way. The first thing we do is build the final roof, and we install umbrella, essentially the work site shelter. Then we start the assembly of a floor structure at man height. And you'll see how we're going to solve that issue with the Carmela project without, with providing less connection than we would with a steel structure. Then once the assembly is done, we lift that new floor assembly to the final height, and then we introduce the vertical support, the shears, the core, whatever is required to make it solid. Commonly, there would be some wet works done. There won't be any wet works in the Carmela project. And once we've created the space, then the envelope on that new space starts to be installed. And as that's being installed, we're starting the next floor assembly. And we synchronize everything. So when I'm fully closed and I'm ready to, my assembly is finished, and I move one floor. And that's called a sequence. And that sequence is repeated till top off. So that was a crash course, no exam on that. This is the equipment. This is the second generation shelter we have. The lifting system that's attached to the roof, and that pushes on the last completed floor, lifting everything. And we integrate a good variety of horizontal and vertical material handling systems. So what you have, and that was mentioned by Vincent and Jean-Bernard, pre-fabricated component come in just in time, one floor at a time. So you have a much more industrial, smooth process with the logistics that does improve efficiency. So what is Umbrella? And I'm on the marketing side, so there's my 5 minutes. We're what we call a responsible construction methodology. We favor a lot sustainability because we create less waste on a site. Essentially, we don't have much temporary setups and we don't use much temporary energy. We're very pro on composite, hybrid, and CLT mass timber structure. One of the advantage, and we have done a report on that, is that we effectively lower the GHG footprint of a construction. Umbrella was initially designed with a lot of the safety, health and safety concern in mind. So by not using a tower crane, that has the implication that you don't move massive pieces of equipment or components. 80% of the work for the structure in the shell is done at man's height. There's much improved fall protection, and we install a lot of light industrial handling equipment in the site so that we have the ergonomics. That increases safety, increases productivity, adds value. The build programs are usually shortened, and the quality is just better. So that's why we say safer and faster. So how will that philosophy or that be applied to the project? Oh, sorry. Sustainability indicator. So essentially we show that on 5 of the 6 key indicator when people go and when you evaluate a site or a building for a label, in that case with LEED, Umbrella with a composite structure will contribute. You know, it can be demonstrated that 5 of the 6 indicator will be 20% better versus conventional all concrete build. So Umbrella, that's Umbrella in Carmela Tower. So this project was really driven by the Principauté intent of building apartments for its resident in a very tight environment and minimizing what we call site nuisance. It's basically noise, dust, the use of public domain, blocking street, everything that makes a site an irritant for the neighborhood and a risk for them. They wanted to minimize that. And thank you for Groupe Simonet to inviting us in the project. It was very smart of them. Good. So it evolved, and the customer came back and says, well, if you're going to do the building, can't you, why not shelter also the masonry and the excavation work? So we're going to be deploying, and that's the top corner here, we're going to be deploying a shelter for that part of the work, and with some, and we should be there by late October, beginning of November. And all of the work, those gros, sorry, les gros œuvres, as we say, will be done sheltered to minimize noise, dust, and make the site a bit more of a friendlier site for construction. After that, the system is transformed for the tower assembly, and there you see a couple of images. So here's the link to the video on YouTube, but I'm going to go through and show you the video. It lasts about a minute and some, and it's the conceptual view on how we're going to go about and create the Carmela Tower and fulfill the intent of the customer. There we go. There we go. So during when we do the assembly for the floor, actually what we're going to be using is a temporary fixed installation of a resist connection, an additional resist connection, so that we can have a main height, and that's the intent, a main height assembly of that floor. So in a nutshell, that was how this building will be erected using the umbrella technology, and fulfill, like I said, fulfill the intent of the customer to have a very green, I would say, very green, and exceed most of the label in terms of environmental performance and responsible construction in a very tight and dense urban environment. I think my 7 minutes would be a bit up, or Sophie?
I'm here, I'm back. Thank you everyone for the very detailed presentation of this amazing project. We have a question from the audience. So the question is, how do you manage to have perfect junctions on the skeleton?
That's a Jean-Bernard question.
Actually, I can imagine that maybe it's a question about the links we have between the CLT panels, or also if the question is this, we will have very big links between the CLT panels, and I think that the key in the design of such structure is to master the rigidity of the connections, and that's something we are working on a lot, and that we are modeling accurately in the model, in the calculation model, to understand as accurate as possible the behavior of the structure. So that will be done mainly with steel elements for the fixation.
Okay.
I hope I have answered the question.
I don't know, maybe this person is still in the, yeah, I can say still in the audience. So let us know if the information is good or you need more. Second part of the question is, what are your challenges with that project to do so comparing to a traditional construction? So maybe it's a question for the three of you.
Well, we'll start with the architect then.
Excuse me. The first challenge is to obtain environmental label, because the goal are difficult to obtain. And the second challenge is to.
Vincent, do you mean in terms of label, is that a different one from France? Very different one, or not?
No, they are not different, but higher for all. And the second challenge is the same as for all projects, finish on time.
Yeah, and if I may add to Vincent, part of the challenges was to reduce the nuisance, but also to contribute how we would help to attain that label. And I understand there's a lot of effort that we're done. They're even recycling, repurposing some of the excavation material. They have a company that does that. And Umbrella, of course, provides a sheltered environment, less, and I've spoken a bit, so we do contribute natively to that. But we're even a bit pushing the envelope. We're looking at ways to have a energy autonomy, if you want, of the umbrella equipment, by way we would be able to generate the power as a quotation, generate the power that would be used by the system independently of the grid. And that's part of the study we always do on our project. How can we improve the platform, which is Umbrella, and add more value for the customer?
Jean-Bernard, you want to add something?
Yes, maybe one challenge and maybe one big difference between traditional construction and the use of biosource material and particularly timber. I think that the prefabrication is very important in case of timber. That needs to be anticipated, and that mean to have great effort in the design process. And we have to concentrate our efforts in the design stage to think everything, because there is no time to change anything when it comes on site. So I think that's a particularity of timber construction, but also a very good advantage, because when you have planned everything, then there is no reason to have problem on site.
And in terms, Jean-Bernard, in terms of fire protection requirements, does that requires more technical answers and more challenges than a traditional construction, or not?
I think it's a very good question, because timber construction is very observed in terms of fire protection, because in the mind of people there are reasons to think that it could be more problem in case of timber. And even if I'm sure it's not the case, we have to answer very properly to all the standards, and all the people around are focused on that. So I would say that everything is planned to answer all the local standards, all the regulations, and even more. In this project, there is a big protection in case of the central core of the building, which is very well protected, and which will ensure all the inhabitants to have a means of escape in case of any problem.
Okay, interesting. Maybe a last question, specifically for you, Jacques. How does the Carmela project contributes to, and all these technologies used, contribute to lower the greenhouse gas footprint of this of the building?
Well, thank you for leading me into it. We do, and I touched based on it. Once you encapsulate the site and you work on a stage, essentially an umbrella project has less of temporary structure to hold things together or to protect people while it's being built. So you have much less waste. The nature of umbrella that fits very well with how Jean-Bernard sees it, it's an industrial and manufacturing process. Parts are designed, or components are designed to plan, manufacture, ship just on time. So effectively all of that is you minimize transport. If you minimize transport, then you minimize the GHG impact. That focus combined with, let's say we go with the energy autonomy thing, will make that the envelope, if you want, the environmental contribution during the build will fit in with the environmental targets of sequestering, so much CO2 in wood. So all of that makes for a big bang GHG wise, and a way to look forward on many future construction.
Okay, and we can see that in this project you're really careful with all the pollution that triggers that kind of a project in a very small and dense territory. So
yes.
all kind of pollution, a construction site can do so. So congrats for that.
Thank you.
The three of you. We have a very last question, very practical question. It seems that is really interesting for our audience. And someone asked if you are able to share the presentation deck. Maybe if they contact you directly.
Yes.
You
I'd
can
be more
answer
than happy.
directly.
But I have to ask my co-presenters if they want to be publicly known in the world first. And if so, I will share for sure.
So maybe I would invite our audience to contact you directly on LinkedIn if they have very specific questions. Or
Yes, and
to work with
my
you.
email
Yes,
is
you
there.
have LinkedIn
Yeah.
and the details.
Yes, be more than happy to share.
So it's time to say goodbye.
Are we gonna sing?
I mean, that was really, really dense, a lot of details. Thank you for that. Really interesting and uncommon projects in an uncommon territory also. So thank you for bringing that to everyone in our daily talk programs. So thank you, everyone. See you tomorrow at 4 p.m. Paris time for another session. So I would say wishing you a good day, Jacques, and end of afternoon and evening, Jean-Bernard and Vincent.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
And we'll see you guys in Paris in September. How's that?
Good to know.
Thank you.
Good to know. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.